Welcome to the Miss to Mrs. broadcast, where we encourage wives, newlyweds, and singles on the transition into marriage and about wife life. I hope you enjoy the show. All right, we are here. So I am so excited to be here today for the first installment of the Miss to Mrs. broadcast, where we are going to be encouraging wife life, newlywed life, and we're going to talk to some singles about their life when they're in transition in their relationship. So I am excited to be here with an amazing woman of God. Her name is Natasha Press, and she's just so amazing in every way. She is a teacher. She is a singer. She is a mother. She is a wife of 13 years. Actually, we got married in the same year. We were friends through all of our process. And honestly, she was my person in my newlywed years because we needed help. We needed help to encourage one another in the process of going from singleness, because we walked out singleness together, honey. We did that. We had a lot of fun. We used to have smoothie meetups and hangouts, and we just loved every moment of our singleness. And then we helped each other through our transition. So what better person to have on my first installment of this is Natasha. So I'm so thankful to have you.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm excited. Tam, I'm excited. Like you said, we've been through so many seasons together. I mean, like singleness and then newlywed season,
right?
And motherhood. And so I'm excited about the conversation. God always downloads such good spiritual food through our conversations. And so I'm grateful. Thank you for having me on.
I am so thankful too. And so today's topic, everybody, is going to be individuality and togetherness when becoming one. Because the idea is that sometimes when you get married, it's just about togetherness, but I think there's a duality in that there is, you still get to keep your individuality as well as walking out togetherness with the one that God has placed in your life. It's a beautiful thing. And I also know it's a transitional thing because sometimes you lose that individuality. You're trying to figure out that next space. You're trying to understand who you are with your new name, with your new space, your new house. I don't know what it could be. It could be anything. Right? But you're trying to figure it out. So what I want to ask you first is explain the process that kind of you walk through, or maybe even your thoughts behind walking through embracing your individuality within marriage while also embracing the idea of being together with your boo.
So that's great. After being married, what are we going on? 14?
Yes, 14.
Woo! Anyway, after being married for 14 years, I mean, there's just some things that you didn't know when you first entered in. You're so excited about this relationship and this covenant and being with this person. And I think in the very beginning, you are ready to like give up everything. You know what I'm saying? You're giving up, the things that you desire, the things that you do. Sometimes you give up. I like rom-coms. He likes action movies. So now I'm watching a bunch of action movies, and I like long walks in the park, and he likes going to the movies. So you start to sacrifice little by little.
Yes.
Sacrifice your last name, and it's like, okay, who in the world is Natasha Press? You know what I'm saying? You have to figure that out, and then you sacrifice, different things to get close to that person and become intimate. And I believe that all that's good. Like, it's necessary to sacrifice some things. But as women, a lot of times we give up so very much of unnecessary sacrifices.
Okay.
That's, because there are necessary sacrifices.
Okay.
But we are all in, honey, for the name of love. We just want to give it all.
Here for the name of love.
But in the name of love, we
dream about this, right? As young adults, we're just like, we can't wait to jump in. And then, yes, we're still trying to understand what that jumping in means and looks like.
Right. And so then, if you like our journey, then you go through motherhood,
Yeah.
and now I'm giving up my body, and I'm giving up all my privacy, because there's no hiding place. There is no hiding place in motherhood. And so you slowly begin to give away pieces of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about individuality, it's not that we don't sacrifice, because in any relationship, in
Yeah.
our relationship with the Lord, there's
Yeah.
sacrifice. You
Absolutely.
sacrifice, we
Yes.
sacrifice. You know what I mean? There's sacrifice in any relationship. In friendships, there's sacrifice. So definitely in a marriage covenant relationship, there is sacrifice. But if you are not careful, you
Mm-hmm.
will slowly begin to give away all of yourself until you look back and you'll not even recognize yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And not even, you forget, what do I like? What do I like to do? What
Mm-hmm.
makes me happy? What are
Yeah.
my hobbies? I don't even remember. And
Yeah.
so when we talk about, individuality in marriage, it's not saying to separate
There you
from
go.
your spouse.
Yes.
It's not saying you do you and I'm gonna do me,
Yes.
but it is maintaining, you know, having a conscious effort to maintain certain aspects of yourself that are good aspects, the things that you enjoy doing,
Yeah.
and bringing those to the relationship.
I was just about to say, how do we do that in a healthy way? And that was exactly what you shared. Having your individuality and bringing it to the relationship to enhance it. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking.
And so it makes for, it's like, if you're making a gumbo or a stew, like you could have one thing in there, or it makes for a hearty stew. You know what I'm saying? Now there's different things going on. There's different likes and dislikes. And, I might teach you something and you might teach me something, and we can still be harmonious, but still have our individual personalities.
That's really good. If I think about my marriage, you already know me and Raymond are opposites. And I had to find a beauty in my individuality that I brought to the table. I saw such a beauty in the togetherness in me and Raymond, like what we were to do for God and our purpose together in the kingdom. But I also saw where there's some things from my family life that I brought to the table that just made our relationship beautiful. I also saw where, you know what, he made me quirky for a reason. It's okay that I'm a little quirky.
That's okay.
Right.
And let me tell you something, that quirkiness brightens up that man's day when it's hard to crack a smile and you come in with your quirkiness. But imagine if you gave that up because he's not quirky.
Right.
I love the video that you posted. You posted a video of you and the girls dancing.
Right.
Y'all are just getting it and y'all are free and enjoying life. And he's he's just a little, he's just like, that ain't what I do.
Yes.
That's not what I do. But he just had his little dots.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I know that his life is so much richer and so much fuller because of all of that y'all bring. And I don't believe that, it's God's intention for us to become, as we're becoming one, that doesn't mean we become the same person.
That's so good. That's so
You know?
And I think sometimes as we are melting together, because it's such a fusion moment of going from individuals to togetherness, but when we're losing ourselves in terms of, losing some of our preferences as singles, now we're married, there's still a purpose for you as an individual. That's why I love talking about purpose and marriage. So, it kind of couples together that he still has individual things for you as well as individual things for you together. And that's really the spice of any great relationship, is that you have your individuality. You don't have to completely lose it. It enhances one another. I love that you are like, your husband's a jokester. And I love it. Me and Rich, I love those laughs. He's a jokester. And I love it. And you just bring forth like such an enhancement of like education. And, you're just like, hey, boys, we need to do this. And Richard is playful. And it just brings a beautiful symmetry in the house. But let's be honest, sometimes we beat ourselves up if we're not this idea of what we may have thought our spouse wanted us to be. And we realize that it's really just a growth of them truly embracing who we really are. Because we think, we embrace our spouse until we really live with them and we get to know every single aspect of them. And we're like, wow, I didn't know that right there. But that's what makes, you delicious and him great. And so I love that. Did you want to say anything else about that? I wanted to ask you, what does healthy individuality look like? What does it look like?
Healthy individuality. Okay, so as much as we say individuality, some women would use the word independence. You know what I mean? So I like individuality better, because when we use the word independent, that means alone, like I'm bad by myself, I'm self-dependent. But that individuality moves from, in a marriage relationship, it moves from being independent to interdependent.
Ooh.
Now I am connected with him. He's connected with me. We depend on each other. We draw from each other's strengths. We enhance or build each other up in the other one's weakness. There's a harmonious balance that's going on there. And so while I advocate for individuality, at the same time, make that individuality interdependent. Like we said earlier, bring it to the table. Share who you are. That's the biggest thing. Okay. We're not saying go over in the corner and I'm over here doing me and you're over here doing you, because that begins to drive a wedge.
Yes.
But if I share who I am, I love who I am, I embrace who I am, and I just want to give all that who I am to you, you know what I mean? Then in the way that I know how, then that is a beautiful relationship. And to be honest, Tam, it's like, we got to remember there was something about me that you checked before, you know what I mean? Like it was something about me that made you say, that's my rib, that's my bride. Yes. And when I began to lose that person, then, not only am I affected, but he's also affected, because there was something when you saw me that was like, hey, that's me, And so I don't believe at all that God has called us to, just completely lose that. But he made us individuals so that we can enhance each other's lives. You know what I mean?
That's really good. I mean, I speak about it often, but don't let this be the conversation that tells you, don't be afraid if you're having that weird sensation of, wow, we're more opposite than I thought. Don't let that.
That conversation destroys so many marriages, because the enemy wants you to believe, right? We're just so different. We're so different. How could we ever do this? Like, how could we ever, have this much? And I hear that so often. We're just two different people. We're just different. Yes, you are two different people. Yes, you are different. And God made it that way, because there's some things that you're going to show him, and there's some things that he's going to show you. And if you give it time and you give it patience and you seek to understand each other, maybe understand each other's background, or the way you think, the way me and my husband think sometimes, girl, we be on like not two different books, not two different pages. I mean, like, what book are you in? Because I'm not in that book. So, and in the first couple of years of marriage, it's like,
you're afraid that you feel that, because as we watch in the movies, when you're in La La Land, you're just kind of like, well, I shouldn't feel this much difference. It should feel like me, this should be like how I am. And actually,
we finish each other's sentences. No, we don't finish each other's sentences. That is some garbage.
It is. And really, as I have journeyed to 10 plus years, I realized, even as hard as being opposites are, there is a beauty when you watch the pieces of the puzzle connect. And when you see what it is you bring to the table and how it all fits. And I just, actually, now I can say I love it. I can't say in the beginning I loved it, because it made me very fearful of how we were going to get to 10 years. But
so, yes. When I look at me and Pastor Rich, it's crazy, because there was a time that was my language. It was just like, man, we're too different. We are two different people. And he operates like this, like these, even the things that are important to him were just not important to me, you know what I mean? And the things that I was passionate about, I was like, he doesn't even care about that, you know. So I had full meltdowns. And I remember one of our spiritual fathers, just a leader, he used to say, that's the thing that, you know, makes y'all's ministry. That's the thing that God wants to bring together. And if you guys could just master your differences.
Ooh, come on. Say that again.
If you could just master your differences, you guys would be so powerful. So my husband is like very business minded, right? Very business promotions. And I am very, and this isn't to say that the other is not, you know, as I said before, that was an exaggeration. Nobody doesn't care about. No, it's just that these are the gifts that are prominent, right? And so I am very, you know, I'm a teacher. I'm very, you know, concerned about the accurate word of God, and you know, just and I love ministry. And so it was like, where does the marriage of ministry and business meet? I was just, and now it sounds real, you know, it sounds understandable, but for years I was like, I just don't understand it. He wants to start a business and I want to start a church. You know what I mean? Like it was just I couldn't see. And I couldn't see what you know, what our leader was saying to me. I was like, he was like, if you knew how many churches don't have good business practices and how many, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa, if you, you know, if you knew how you guys complemented and balance each other, then you would be rejoicing, because some people operate so fully in one area that they give, that there's lack in the other area. The other area is starving, you know what I mean? And so just simply that, you know, that's just an example of my life. But in so many marriages, that's what it is. It's like somebody's strong over here, somebody's strong over here. And then when y'all come together, it's just so much, so powerful. So I would advise not to give up on those things, to appreciate them in yourself and also to appreciate them in your spouse. Be able to see how his difference complements you. You know what I mean? And think of it as balance. If we could change even our language, I'm not difference, because difference says division, right? But if I say complementing rather than different.
That is so good. Complimenting versus saying different. I remember I was walking in the church one day, and it was my pastor's mother, and she said, "You were made for that man." Right?
I love it. I love it.
Like, and I was going through a period where I was wondering, like, was I, you know, because I was so confident in my single person. I had to gain my confidence as a wife and as his wife. And so I think that it took me a while to see, but now that I see it, you're absolutely right. You're able to see the beauty of how you complement your individuality as well as your togetherness. It really makes the pot good, that gumbo.
And like you said, like, there is a specific anointing on your life for that man, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And we've got to begin to speak that language. And the enemy is so divisive. You know, it's been times, and just to be transparent, you know, because I want to help somebody who might be in this place. But there's been times when the enemy has been like, maybe he would have been better off with this type of, you know what I mean? And you got to shut it. I'm anointed for him.
Right.
Shut that down, because he'll get you to thinking, maybe we made a mistake. Maybe he'd be better suited with this person, or maybe I'd be better suited with this person. Absolutely not. You've got to embrace those differences and call them compliment. I was thinking, like, you ever see people who couples that dress exactly the same?
Yes. Okay. But there's a lot of people who like it.
Hey. That might be you. Hey,
I know, Raymond doesn't.
I'm a complimentary kind of girl.
Okay.
If you know, if I've got on brown, you know what I mean? If I've got on leopard, then you wear some brown. Or if I've got on this, then you wear some. I like different but complimentary. You know what I mean? So, like, oh, yeah. I'm not a matchy kind of girl. I like a complimenting look.
Matchy complimenting. I love it. That's cute. Oh my goodness. I'm really blessed by this conversation, mainly because it is a place of tension that the enemy tries to get at you early on in marriage. And so this conversation is to encourage you. Don't listen to those voices that are telling you that your differences, your individuality, as well as how to bring that together is a bad thing. That's the whole process of growing in a relationship. So don't run away in that uncomfortable sensation and that space. It is all good. Did you want to say anything else about that?
I do. I love that you said, I want to say, sorry. Okay. Anyhow, I want to say it's not abnormal. I think a tactic that the enemy uses when we're newlyweds, or not even newlyweds, is he makes you think that this is some I don't know, tailored, customized individual attack. Everybody has experienced this. Everybody has thought these thoughts. Everybody has had this, I don't know about this. We're just so different. Anybody who's married, I mean, unless you marry just your twin, you know what I mean? You're different. You're just different. And the attack is not anything new.
Yeah.
And so we dismantle even the power of the words spoken by the enemy or the influence or those thoughts. We just dismantle them right now in the name of Jesus, because it is nothing new. And if you just change your language, change your perspective, you will overcome it. It is not the end of your relationship. It is not, you are not looking at him across the room like, who are you? I don't even know. You're made for him. He's made for you, and you will endure it. And God will begin to reveal to you even specific areas of your personality, your giftings and your talents and your passions. And you'll begin to understand why his is this way, why mine is this way, and why God put us together.
That is so good. And it's so key. So I really hope you guys got those nuggets, because it is what the enemy does. He tries to divide you. And I pray that you gather from this conversation how important it is to shut those voices down and to tap into the idea and understanding that you are specifically made for that man or for that woman. If there's men listening today, I am going to say thank you so much. That was good.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I love it. So we're going to have a really quick not so newlywed round and ask you a couple questions about your boo before we get going. Before we leave.
I'm nervous now. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so where was your first date?
Our first date. Okay, our first date was at Applebee's.
Yes, that's great.
We met for coffee.
Y'all have to realize, look, we got married in 2007. We didn't have all this stuff that y'all have. Okay, we had MySpace. All right,
we met for coffee and dessert at Applebee's.
I love that. That is so wonderful. Okay, next question. What was your funniest newlywed fight? And then I'm going to tell you my funniest newlywed fight.
Ooh, funniest newlywed fight. I don't know. That's a good one. You tell me yours, and I'm going to be thinking about it.
I'm going to tell you mine. My funniest newlywed fight was either about ketchup or pillows. One, because I like ketchup cold and heat. I mean, like, I guess it was like cold and hot ketchup. And then the other one was I walked into the room when he was sleeping, and I think I threw the pillow on the bed and he was knocked out. And he was like, why would you? And I just was like, whoa. So that, even though that, I mean, it's funny to me now because it was so small, but it's hilarious. That was a hilarious newlywed fight for me. But we got over it real quick.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I'm glad we got over them. I don't know if I laughed about any of this.
I didn't laugh about it. Okay, so what would you say is the first movie you watched together in a theater? What?
And if he sees this, he's gonna laugh so hard. I'm embarrassed to even say. One of our first dates and the first movie we went to go see was Passion of the Christ.
Oh, wait.
That's not a date movie, y'all, in case you don't know.
Y'all, that is the best and funniest thing that I have ever heard today. That was good.
But yeah, so I was like, let's go see Passion of the Christ.
I love it.
bawled through the whole movie. And then as he dropped me off at the house, it's just like, okay, ain't no sinning going on. Like, ain't no, not a peck, not a kiss, not after seeing that movie. I just sat in the car.
So tickled.
He sat in the car. We were just so overwhelmed with emotion and just, thank you. I had a nice time. And I got out the car.
That's so great. I am so laughing. My first movie was Hitch. So it was a great first movie.
You have some.
I had a great first movie.
Because you're fun. I don't know. And so, like you said, my husband is the fun one. I can sometimes be a little stick in the mud. So yeah, it was probably my idea to see.
That's still a great one. I love it. Oh my goodness. So I was going to ask you to describe your first date, but that's exactly how it went. That is so.
Well, oh Lord, I'm telling my business. That wasn't our first date, Tammy.
Oh.
He took me to a dinner. Well, so we had the little meetup, right? And then he asked me out and we went to a dinner. His father was having a fraternity dinner, whatever.
Yeah.
We could bring a +1. Well, I come out the house looking like I'm headed to a prayer meeting with a very long holy dress on. Like it was it was the least sexy thing in the world. And no, my husband, being the man that he is, clowned me. He was like, where do you think you're going, to a prayer meeting? And I was so embarrassed that I made him, on the way to the dinner, I made him stop at the store and buy me it, and I bought another.
So cute. I love it. I
was so embarrassed.
Well, thank you. That was really great. That was a great not so newlywed questions. Okay, so 2 more things before I let you go. I want you to brag on your beau real quick. Yes, brag on your beau. Give me one brag moment that you would say about your man.
My man is the life of the party. I love the life and the energy that he brings. He is so caring. He is so compassionate. He is just a loving guy. But when I tell you, he brings the light into my life, and I appreciate him for that. Like any time that's been difficult for me, and I'll say, and people have heard me say this before, like there was a season, where I was really struggling and battling with some things, and he would come in the bedroom every day and open up the blinds, and like all this light would come in, and I'd be like, but that's just who he is. Like he brings the light, he brings the life. And so if you're ever down, I'll lend him for a little while. That's the one to call. But he definitely. And he's a great guy. I love him.
It's so great. Yes. So we're going to be doing that in my interviews. We're going to do a brag on your beau, because we're going to talk about issues, but I also want you guys to know that marriage is a good thing, and that is a fun thing, and we have fun, and we have experiences, and we have laughter. So that's really great. And one more thing is, what piece of advice would you give to someone transitioning into marriage from Miss to Mrs.?
Grace. Grace, 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 grace. So I would tell you to give that man grace. Give yourself grace. So we can be very hard. We have our expectations, we have our desires, but 2 people's lives are transforming. You are getting to know them, like your whole life, the whole, whatever was behind you, a whole new life has begun. And you gotta give people grace to adjust, to learn, to grow, to develop. And that same grace that you deserve, he deserves the same. If anything, if I could even tell my younger self, like, give some grace, you know what I mean? Things that seem huge and insurmountable, they're not that big. They're not that big.
Listen, and that last question could be a whole nother interview and podcast, because that is such good wisdom. Please glean from that last piece, because we, at times as wives, and at, extending grace as well as giving it to yourself while you're processing in. And so the whole point of this podcast, this YouTube page, is to really help you guys who are in spaces that you don't really want to talk about with anybody, right? But we're hoping this is a little balm to your heart to let you know you're in the right place. You're in the right space. Don't be afraid. And so make sure that you visit Pastor Natasha on the Well Church VA page on Facebook, as well as her Instagram, because she's an amazing woman of God. She's an amazing teacher. So make sure you visit that. Please go to the YouTube page for author Tamara S. Williams and the podcast for the full interview. I'll be doing some clips on Facebook and Instagram, but go there and hopefully it will also be on iTunes. So you can follow us on our social media handles. So thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.